What's up, everybody? What is this? That's not 150. Right. There we go. Welcome to today's question and answer session. While I get everything set up, and why is this not popping up? So it's probably you guys not getting alerts. So give me a few seconds. And as you come in, hit that like button. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. So give me a second. Working. So, uh, can you hear me well? Can you hear me well? All right. Boom. All right. Turn that down. So we're ready for the question and answers, people. So whenever you guys are ready to roll, and like I said, as you come in, hit that like button. I'm going to be putting up the links for those that want to donate, and we always have super chat. So give me a few seconds as we're setting up. So I'm actually working on doing something else as well. So give me a little bit. And because alright. What's my name? Alright. Alright, there we go. Got that up, got it going. Appreciate you guys with all the likes and all that good stuff. Again, sitting up here having a bunch of unnecessary trouble. Alright. While we're waiting on some questions and all that good stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some stuff that I actually saw earlier today in the means of. There we go. That answered it. In the means of the requirements within a search warrant. Because I actually had I think it was two people I spoke with this week that had that very issue go on. And one of the things that most of us are forgetting are the simple facts that a police officer needs consent pretty much to do their job or a crime. These are some of the areas in which I'm going to go into today. I'm actually going to do a separate video that will probably be uploaded on at some point on tomorrow. But again, you hear me talk about getting the warrant and the search warrant application. Now, the easy one that is Mally D. Briggs, and that's BRIGGS, 475 US 335, and it's a 1986 case. I'm going to go into that one simply because oftentimes, more often than not, you hear people, even in videos that I've already done, such as the one from Rhode Island where the officer goes, well, people think we have to do certain things, and even the officer told him, I'm going to pat you down. I've even spoken about how officer safety is not actually something that exists. So these are things that kind of come up. And even in the Daniel Ross, the cowboy case, where I showed the fact where the video was illustrating that the officer said, oh, well, I'm going to I'm going to search anyway because I have probable cause. That's where this case comes in at. Now, after I finish with this case, some of you probably, hopefully, will have questions, because that's what today is for. But I'm going to do this, and then we can go into starting to answer some of those questions, or at least point you in the right direction on some of the things that you have. So, the reason they have to have consent from you, or they have to have consent from a judge or a magistrate, because Malley v. Briggs, 475 U.S. 335, 1986, it is a sound presumption that the magistrate is more qualified than the police officer to make a probable cause determination. Now, you often heard, actually you've heard me if you listen to my podcast, where I talked about a situation that happened in College Park back in, I believe it was 2009-ish, 2009, 2010, where the young lady was actually blamed, actually it was 2011, I apologize, where the young lady was actually blamed for the young man that had committed suicide. You also heard me speak about how police officers are more like scientists, because they create the illusion, or they create a hypothesis, and then they find evidence to fit that hypothesis. Now, when you have them in the point where they're saying, you know what, I have probable cause, I'm going to do this anyway. This is where Malley v. Briggs comes in. This is why you have things like the MAP hearing to challenge that type of evidence, because if they don't have the warrant and you did not give consent, and they do not have actual footage of you offering them consent for that, the search can be suppressed. The evidence that is found, quote unquote, within that can be suppressed. And Malley v. Briggs, again, 475 U.S. 335, 1986. It is a sound presumption that the magistrate is more qualified than the police officer to make a probable cause determination. Now, it goes on to read, the detached scrutiny of a neutral magistrate is more reliable safeguard against improper searches than a hurried judgment of a law enforcement officer. Because again, they're there and they're guessing. Now, if they're saying they have probable cause, great, go get a warrant, because I'm not giving you consent. And you don't have the power to determine that. And the reason, and I know a lot of them are going to get upset with what I'm about to say, but we literally have a Supreme Court decision that shows that they do not hire people with high IQs. So someone with a not high IQ making a determination of what probable cause is not a good safeguard, because most of them, when you're coming in, you're looking at these body cam footage that's actually turned over, which is less than 25%, and they're saying, this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to be done, and you're seeing that they're trigger happy, they're rushing to judgment, they're forcing things to fit with what's in their mind. And I'm gonna go this, because this is one of those things, because I know in relationships, I've had a relationship where the young woman that I was with, we had a lot of arguments. And for me, a lot of the arguments were unnecessary, because she lived most of our relationship in her mind. That is what's going on with these police officers. because they're being programmed and trained to believe everybody they come in contact with is a suspect. Everybody they come in contact with is going to hurt them. Everybody that they're coming in contact with is a criminal. And if anybody is put into an orange jumpsuit, they are absolutely a bad person, except when it's somebody that was in the blue at one point. These are the things that I actually want to bring to light and give into that. Because at the end of the day, when you're talking about the scrutiny of what needs to be done, in order for us to properly fight back, is to understand when I say challenge at every aspect of the legal process, that's exactly what I mean. You start at the stop. Why will you stop? Because we know Wren v. US, they're allowed to make the stop. Then they have officer discretion. Officer discretion is then challenged because now they're either going to do a willful act of writing a citation, which Brown v. Texas showed you was a violation of the Separation of Powers Act and a violation of their oath, or they're going to give you a warning. And one of the easies are because they have no complaining witness. There is nobody for you to confront. And if they do say, you know what, let's go into another one. Because I had a young lady that spoke about, actually I had a young man, he spoke about having his conveyance taken, his vehicle, as well as property inside the vehicle was taken for a traffic infraction, where there was no accident, where there was no injured party. But they ended up taking these things without a warrant and then hollering about the aspects of it being part of the crime. Now, here's the problem with that. What crime are they dealing with? What person was damaged? What property was damaged? They don't have any. And then we know the police officer is going to try to come in with an amicus brief because that's what their police report is, and say they are the expert at what the crime is. But if we're not challenging even those aspects of evidence through a MAP hearing, when we write it up to challenge that after we do the discovery process. And those of you that do not have the discovery process, go to the Supreme Decisions on Patreon, and you will see that I have a Patreon exclusive where I talk about the entire discovery process, step by step, and Brady violation. So that one is actually on the web. Actually, no, it will be on the website on tomorrow. But those are things that you need to understand, because once that's happening, you now not only check what comes in your discovery, you challenge what's in there, but you also make sure you make note of anything that's not in there. And also understand what can and cannot be brought in. Because here's where the greatest portion of our liberty comes from. God blessed us with one mouth and two ears. So we should listen twice as much as we speak, which is very difficult for me because I speak constantly. So, you know, it is what it is. But if you're one of those people that speak constantly, you have to take a deep breath, sit down, shut up, and listen. Because I tell everybody they're going to give you everything that you need to beat them. Because they'll talk about things in their police reports, in their testimony, that you can actually now use as evidence or force them to show as evidence. Because testimony without any supporting evidence is hearsay, and it can be challenged as such. And if it is not, how? Okay, Akeem, give me a little bit. I'm gonna finish this up, and then we're gonna address that. But then we're gonna also figure out exactly what it is and how to get it done properly. So, not kind of dismissing anything, but making sure it is, you know what it is that's in front of you. Because I'm going to also talk about later, after these people with these loud ass cars, what I'm going to talk about later is the aspects of setting a motion for hearing. Because again, all of this is done with timing. And in the midst of the timing, these are chess moves. Because the whole aspect of what's being done is simply for one thing: challenge them from gaining revenue. and also liberating yourself. This is your pursuit of happiness. Because if you actually understand what that statement is, your greatest achievement is to pursue happiness, your pursuit of freedom. Because if you're not willing to fight for it, they are definitely willing to take it from you. So just keep that in mind. And then, I'm not sure if you remember that, but I'm going to go back over Malley v. Briggs one more time. Malley, M-A-L-L-E-Y, v. Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S, 475 U.S. 335, 1986. What's up, San Joaquin? It is a sound presumption that the magistrate is more qualified than the police officer to make a probable cause determination. And it goes on to read, the detached scrutiny of a neutral magistrate is more reliable safeguard against improper searches than a hurried judgment of a law enforcement officer. And understanding, this is one of the ways judges cover their own ass. Because just because a police officer says, oh, I have probable cause, great, get a warrant. If a judge doesn't sign off on it, guess what the judge is telling you? They don't have probable cause. That doesn't change their time. Just because you tell them to get a warrant, they still have 19 minutes, USB sharp. These are things that I've given you over time and time and time, but these are how the application goes. Because this is what allows you, when you're encountered, to understand what they can and cannot do, because it sets forth their procedures. A lot of people will say stupid shit to you in the form of, well, when did you go to law school? Motherfucker, I can read. I'm sorry about that. I have the ability to comprehend. And, you know, because I actually had one guy this morning, literally this morning, I had an 8 o'clock basketball game, and a young man that we were dealing with, a cop told him, you can't cuss at me, while he was cursing at the man. And I yelled out, he may want to check the fighting words doctrine, because him cursing does not deter or create any other situation other than I'm upset. And generally, if you can name a time when you're seeing a police officer and it's a good time, like, oh my God, I was great to see, boy, I was waiting to see a police officer. No, when do you see a police officer and it's a great time? No, you don't see them at a good time. And they know this whenever they take the job. They are trained for this when they take the job. So understanding, no, I don't have to have an understanding about your feelings. So fuck your feelings, because that's where we're at. So at the end of the day, what we're having is to understand what it is they can and cannot do. And you also have to be able to and willing to stand up and enforce the things that you know are 100% correct and lawful, because man only has the rights he will defend. When it was given to me, it was the rights he can defend. Man only has the rights he will defend, because if you're not willing to fight, they're willing to take it from you. Because just like I told you, if you're willing to give up one right, what about 2 rights? What about 3? Because once you give up 3, they're going to take 4, 5, and 6, and then the rest of them don't matter. So understand that. When you're willing to stand, understanding where you're standing at. Because somebody asked me the other day about something that I'm not greatly a believer in. However, I will help you with that, because it doesn't affect me. It's not one of those things that I feel I won't encounter. So I'm not going to get too deep into it. So it is what it is. But at the same time, I'm not going to allow it to be something that's taken, because if you take that one, that means you're trying to take that one over here. I can't give you this one because that one does affect me. So I can't give you that one either. And it's even as simple as the search warrants. Because even in Gore, Groh, v. Ramirez, Ramirez, 540 U.S. 551, 2004, it is incumbent on the officer executing a search warrant to secure the search is lawfully authorized and the probable cause exists. Understanding the pretext of any search, the pretext of any crime is probable cause. Now, in order for anyone to have probable cause, there must be a crime. In order for there to be a crime, there must be actus reus and guilty act. There must be mens rea, which is a guilty mind, which is intent. And then there must be corpus delicti, the injured party. So, why? Because this is a confrontational system. This is an adversarial system. Who am I confronting? Who is my adversary? If there is none, then what are we doing here? Because those are the things that need to be addressed. One at a time, two at a time, or however it needs to be done. But one cannot exist without the other. And these are the things that we have to go through. Because I'm even going to talk later about qualified immunity and the BS behind it. I'm going to talk about how to access the 1983 cases. Because those are the most difficult because of the things that are set forth in terms of going after the qualified immunity and proving it, because we know for a fact they're not going to turn over something. Why? Because we know for a fact they don't turn over anything. We also know for a fact they're looking to destroy as much evidence against them as possible, because they don't want to keep telling on themselves, because they don't want to keep cutting these checks. But they also know if they're frustrating anyone, that we're more prone to quit because we're frustrated. So that's where we're at. And now, Akeem the Dream. Okay. Akeem, I'm gonna be real with you. I would have to get more information on that case so I can give you an answer, because at the end of the day, there's definitely something there's a lot of stuff missing and just the cover looking at it. Try to wrote my down until I mention it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, a lot of times, what you're doing is showing that you are going to do a challenge. So that's where you're at with that. But yeah, actually, give me a second. I'm gonna go ahead and put that where you need to contact me at. On that one. So, any other questions for right now that I can actually answer? Because this is what I want to do on Sundays. I want to make sure you guys have an opportunity to actually ask me questions, kind of give me a little direction on what you guys are looking for. And this way I don't have to just sit up here and get pieces of information and ramble for the most part. And I actually got another question too. Have you heard about gang stalking? Yeah, Akeem, email me and give me the pretext of the gang stalking. Because a lot of times, one of those questions may be something that's said another way. So yeah, give me some type of context to the gang stalking. Yeah, King, email me. That's why I sent you the email address. because that way I can actually, um, you know, van life, I'm gonna need you to calm down, man. Okay. All right. Okay. Actually, that's a great question, Sergio. Yes, because I'm gonna give you a great example. Now, on this one, it was easy because with me, once I got bond, because the one thing they didn't want me to have was bond, and even during my bond hearing, they told the judge that I was a menace to society because I had no limits. Literally, the words from the prosecutor. I had no limits because I sued police officers, judges, prosecutors. I went after companies. I went after bail bond. I went after everybody. And the judge snickered. He gave me a high-ass bond. But he snickered and said, sounds like the only people that have an issue with him are people that supposedly have authority. And if they're not doing their job properly, he then says something to them. So those are the actions of it. Now, in the midst of doing that, there was an officer, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Jones. Officer Jones lied to a judge to get an arrest warrant, and then went back, and the judge refused to sign it when he found out what it was for. And he ended up going to 4 different judges, ended up having pretty much a blank warrant. But in the midst of doing that, he did not get a warrant to follow me. And he literally followed me from Atlanta to Augusta to South Carolina, down to Florida. And they were doing what we call parallels to kind of keep track of where we were going and what we were doing and all those good things. Now, a lot of times, because even one of the people I'm helping, they actually had that just happen to them like Monday. It's one of the things that they do because it's an intimidation tactic. Because remember when I talked about the interrogation treatments, that's actually part of the interrogation, is to do things to see how you respond to them. Because this is mental warfare. They're not just doing stuff to just be doing it. Because they can intimidate you, they're going to do that. Because they don't want to be held responsible. And yes, it is very organized, it's very strategic, and a lot of times they're off-duty cops or they're cops on leave. Now, do all of them do that? I'm going to say it's allowed more than it should be. So let's keep it that way. Because I wouldn't, unfortunately, I wouldn't say all of them do it, but I will say that it's allowed more than it should be, because they give them leeway when things like that happen to do the Gestapo tactics and to harass people, to not file suits, to not fight back, to not do a lot of the extra things that are okay. Suing 7 cities and god dang, Charles. Charles, what's the pretext of your 7 cities in New Jersey lawsuits? Let's have a little combo. Let's see what we got going on. I know more than 2 people got questions, man. I know this ain't every Sunday, but we're gonna try to make it every Sunday. Oh wow, okay. You got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Okay, and I appreciate you, Tony. Tony, no problem, Sergio. Tony, I appreciate you, but I'm gonna assume that you're a guy, because the Tony Sweet, I know she does porn. I actually like her. I watch too much of it though. Anybody else that have questions? Because I appreciate you guys actually showing up, asking the questions. Oh, and I actually want to give a shout out to my guy Philip. The other night after I did the live and I talked about how everything has slowed down at the beginning of this year, and how even I think video 39 was demonetized for whatever reason. I actually thought I was actually nice on that one. But Phil put a hundo on it. I appreciate you. Gonna keep it going, keep it growing. So, any other questions? I'm not gonna cut it short. I'm gonna find something else to talk about. But I actually want to give you guys some time to share it on some of your social medias. Anything that you think is relevant that you want to talk about, that can be spoken about in an open forum, or guidance I can give you. Because if not, I'm going to go back to these warrants a little bit. Because you guys, I'm pretty sure y'all actually heard me on my podcast. I keep saying that because I know you guys are listening. Okay? Do you know off the top of your head any case laws that pertain to revoking bond and the rules of possible defenses that govern bond? Okay. Allie, yes, you can send it. You know, yeah, you can send the sandwich. Okay. All right. Do I know any cases off the top of my head pertaining to bond revocation? The easy on bond revocations is a show of detriment to society. That is literally the only reason, other than running. If you have a history of running, that's a bond revocation, because that goes back into your behavioral evidence. Because even at bond hearings, they have to present some type of evidence. And again, just saying it means nothing, but they actually have to show where you ran here, you ran there, blah, 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 blah. Or they have to show that you have a history of violence. Now, kind of get with me a little bit. Now, if anybody, because I actually get a kick out of this chick. She's changed her name. She stalked me on several, what is that? Social media platforms, and then she deletes her. She puts up this video that she has on her page on YouTube, and she put up career criminal, which I'm pretty sure all you guys know by now, which is the easy, and because I talk about it constantly. But the thing she put up was the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. She put up my divorce. She put up the original charge for child support. And she put up the ticket I told you guys about that was like $12. She put that up. And then she was like, that's career criminal. And I'm like, you didn't put up the racketeering case. You didn't put up any of the 50 assaults that I have. You didn't pull up none of that stuff. Those are the things that you put up. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're good. And then she put up a case a defamation case where I was suing someone. Literally, I sued this young lady. She took down everything that she put up, and we squashed everything immediately. Like, she thought I wasn't going to file. I filed, and then like a week later, everything was cleared up. So it wasn't no need for us to go to court, because everything that we wanted, both of us got. So it was stupid, the things that was put up. But anyway, the thing she turns on is the fact that the history for me is I have a quote-unquote violent history. I have hit people. I actually have a simple battery. Well, it may or may not show up because it was dead docked, which I'll talk about later, against my ex, where they said I hit her. And they took pictures of her. I was actually in Atlanta when the whole thing supposedly had went down. And I got arrested in Atlanta. They brought me back to Augusta, and they dead docked it. And I was like, look, I don't get in trouble, so I don't care about all that rest of it. Yeah, let's go. But they were upset that she would not press charges. And so if they were to say, well, he's a detriment to society, well, it has a little validity because, yeah, I've hit a bunch of people. So those are a couple, but I can go deeper into that, but we'll do that on the email. So I hope that answered it. How do I get case removed to federal court? My attorney said no juice. Okay, Van Life Realty, reality, whatever the hell that is. I'm going to do something that. Oh shit! Hold on. There we go. Oh, it actually popped up. I'm gonna go into, and actually I'm gonna take a hello, Chan watch and report. I'm actually going to do a quick. I don't know even how to say this. Send my condolence to Vanessa Bryant. Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant were confirmed dead. Well, Gianna was like at 2 something this afternoon. Kobe was confirmed at 1:04 Mountain Time today. And condolences to the family. I grew up with Kobe. Like the crazy part is I'm only a couple years older than Kobe. And like whenever I was first trying to get into the league, that was the dude I actually watched a lot because, you know, dude had crazy swag. But what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to post into the chat the video you need to watch. But I also gave you my email. I'm going to shoot it in there again. And we can go from there. Give me a second, because it kind of, there we go. Got you, Van. And then you're in Arizona. You know what? I got a guy that I was supposed to be helping out in Arizona. He never called me back. So, is that you? Why am I looking at this and not finding it? Trespass law. While filming in public, how is it you can be trespassed from a public place just because someone doesn't want you filming and you don't have anything illegal? You know what? That's also a great one. That's a great question. Give me 2 seconds. Does anybody know where my remove any case to federal court is? Okay. So I cannot find the video. But I've literally gone back to the first one. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think it's me sitting in the car. I have no idea why I cannot find this video. Yeah, if somebody can actually find that for me and put it in the chat, that'll be great. find the video where I speak about the removing any case to federal court. Okay, and matter of fact, I'm gonna give you, because somebody just asked me about this one. And this one also has no ads on it. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Did you find it? Yeah, 'cause I know it's a short video because I think it's me sitting in a car. But for the most part, I'm actually getting ready to post this one real quick. I'm on a different computer, so give me a second. Okay, boom. And that video is for, hey, Chef Justice. All right. And the link that I just put up is for Tony. Tony, that's your link. That's the one that deals with the trespass while filming in public. Because for the most part, as long as you have public access, they cannot trespass you for it. You can fight it. And for the biggest issue of it is the fact that they have to yeah, I thought that was the name of it. I couldn't find it. Thank you, Jing. But yeah, the trespass. Okay, the trespass itself is, for the most part, it's just something. They have to speak directly to the owner. It can't be a representative. Matter of fact, I actually had this one probably an hour ago. Because what happens is, a lot of times you're told that you can't be somewhere, or you can't do this, you can't do that. Where in fact, if your eyes can see it for them, unless there's an area that says restricted, you can go into it. Now, they may not want you to because of quote-unquote trade secrets, but if you're not in an area that can be seen from a public point of view, you cannot be trespassed. And this is one of those why Walmart gets in trouble for stuff like that. Target gets in trouble for stuff like that. But here's where the flip is, because if you go to the Apple store, you cannot film at the Apple store. You cannot film at Best Buy. The reason being is because the managers are given stock options, which make them partial owners. So they're able to do or act as the owner because they have a vested interest in the business. So those are a couple things, but those are some of the things that you can actually challenge. And Tony, I'm putting the email in there again for you guys that need it, that didn't see it the first time. Go ahead and check that out. Maybe if I didn't, I'll just use the computer that's sitting beside me. We can make this a whole lot easier. And down. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. Alright. Those of you that want to donate to the channel, it's the pinned comment in the comment section. You also have super chat. And what's up, Awaken Monument, Colorado? You know what? Yeah, I won't ever visit you. I don't like cold. so, so don't take it personally. I just don't like cold. When you come in, hit that like button. And if you think we're talking about anything worth anything, share it, please. Okay, now where am I going? Where am I at? Where am I at? Great content. Keep it coming. Thank you guys, because one of the things I want to do is I always tell you guys I'm not a microwave dude. We're in a microwave society, and I want to make sure I give you guys substance. I'm working on a lot of different things. I actually literally just started today, like an hour ago, working on an independent site because, like I said, because of shit like this, and I hate it because no problem, Tony. Um, and thank you, Chef. You haven't done any new videos, man. Swanee County, Florida. You know what? I've been down there in Swanee County. I actually enjoy Swanee. My favorite places in Florida are what is that? It's Palo Alto. What is it? Palo something? It's almost like Palo Alto, but it's right on the outskirts of Orlando. Oh, okay. Okay. So just let me know, Chef, and we might have to do something later. And no problem. But Orlando, my brother lived in Orlando. I actually enjoyed it down there. He Altima Springs. That's it. Altima Springs. Void judgments. Now that is an easy one because the void judgments, for the most part, are going to go directly into contract law. So that's what you need to be looking at if you're going to do into that. I'm going to handle more of that because it seems like more guys are starting to ask me again about going after child support. Or if you understand the great part about that, if you understand anything about that, it's the fact that the challenge itself is generally on paperwork, and it's not with the human resource department, it's with the employees. And it'll amaze you at how quickly the human resource department or the actual child protective service agency, blah 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 blah, will throw their workers under the bus. And it amazes me because the workers act like they have no clue that what they're doing is wrong, and generally it's written. I use yeah, that's exactly right because they have to move with good faith, clean hands, and most people don't understand, and they'll put in words with such a satisfaction. But one of the things that you also have to address, Charles, is the fact that they're using duress, and it's a contract. Anytime you use duress in a contract, it voids the contract. Those are things that you can, because the easy part was with me, I actually highlighted a letter they sent me after I got out of jail. I was like, wow, there you go. And immediately the correspondence changed because I was like, yeah, this is coming from a federal court judge. Boom. Yeah, van life, don't forget, hit me up so we can actually have a real conversation. Exactly, involuntary servitude, because there is no debtor's prison unless you go to Vegas. But so, And I actually asked, because I'm going to give you another one. I worked for a company called Bankers Life. And most of my clients, I moved to the new company that I was working for. In the midst of doing that, Bankers Life had this attorney call me. And the conversation went like this, and it was easy for me because of involuntary servitude. And I'm not even gonna act like I didn't use my skin tone for this. I actually went down and talked to the guy, one of the guys that was in charge, and he goes, well, what I'm going to do is we're going to sue you for this amount of money. I was like, okay, give me a printout of where this money originated from. I said, because you're speaking to me as if it was a loan. He goes, well, here. So he sends me all these and the dates and all this other stuff. So I say, okay, cool. This appears to be compensation for work that I had completed. He goes, yeah, those were policies you wrote. I said, yes, was that not my job to write policies? He goes, yes. I said, okay, so you're asking me to give back monies that I've earned because I'm no longer with that company. He goes, yes. I said, do you understand you're now participating in slavery, involuntary servitude? So I said, any further contact, that's what I'm going to have to address it as, because you are willfully participating in involuntary servitude because you're asking me to give back money that I've earned because I am no longer with your company. That actually went away kind of quickly. Because again, words have power, and addressing that power through those words in the proper text allowed them to cover their ass, because they can't ask for money back that was earned. And I used those exact words, earned. I didn't use commission. I didn't use payment or paycheck. That was money earned for working. So you have to also be sure what you're doing in that. All right. How long can it take to move forward in court? It's been over 8. Okay. Here's the part that oh yes, I do have your I did get your email, Van. I apologize about that. Okay, here's the easy. I tell everybody when you're watching that video, do this first. The reason why I say do this first is because you're setting up so you don't have an elongated process. You're trying to shorten that process because the waiting is the context of what they're using to beat you. Because again, just like I talked about them frustrating you, that's what they are trying to do. Now, the first thing you file is your entry of appearance. The second thing that you file is a motion to fire all bar card carrying members to represent you in any fashion. But understand, once you do that, you lose your right for an appeal based on ineffectiveness of counsel because you're exercising your choice of counsel. Now, the third thing that you file will be your discovery. But after you start getting discovery, after your first 10 days, you file a motion for speedy trial because they have 90 days from that point. Understanding, you have to hold them to their rules for the most part. This is the shit that they set up. If you don't hold them to it, guess what they're not going to do? Because it's not about law, it's about revenue. And if you allow it to be about revenue, they're going to continue doing things to gain revenue because their thing is not to beat you on the facts. Because you know, I know, they know. They can't beat you straight up with law because they're not going by law. They're going by practice and policy to generate revenue. Exactly. 90 days for speedy trial in federal court as well. And it's codified in all states across the country. Now, Georgia actually has it worded kind of screwed up, but they use a 90-day trial system. So let's say you file it and you have like 30 days left in this trial system. It automatically rolls over to the second trial system. Now, if they get you in at a day 100, they're still covered because it still falls on the harmless error, and they can ask for a little section of leeway. But this is something that you also have to challenge, and you have to be willing to go forward with. All right, Chan, no problem. I appreciate you, my guy. And I hope that answered anybody else's question, because remember, Charles, even on the state level, everybody is supposed to be going by federal law, because federal law is the supreme law of the land. So and we know statutes, codes, and ordinances, in order for them to have the effect of law, they must coincide with the federal law. So again, federal law is what rules this country. Now, the Supreme Court decisions break those federal laws into context. They break them into situations. And that's where I guess this comes in at. Because a lot of the stuff that I was finding when I started doing this was way over in left field. Or it was partial, and the pieces that I was getting weren't the things that had effect. So when I found out the things that actually worked, because not only for myself but for others, it was easy to say, okay, now I need to actually grab this hard copy book. Now I need to go and watch them, in the midst of their, because I'm a guy, like I said, I grew up in the Kobe Bryant era. One of the things that people talked about with Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, John Elway, Lawrence Taylor, these guys, they sat down, even Michael Jordan, they sat down and they watched their opponents. They watched for little idiosyncrasies or little missteps or even the things they did well. Because even Bernard Hopkins, I'm not sure if you guys are into boxing, but those that are know exactly what I'm talking about. Bernard Hopkins started boxing late. Why? Because Bernard Hopkins was boxing in prison. When he got out of prison, he was in his 30s. He turned a professional in his 30s. He became a champion in his late 30s, which is an old boxer. But the problem is, he never had any damage to him. But one of the great things about Bernard was that he would study his opponent. And then whatever they did well, whatever they did best, he took that away from them. Because now you got to beat me with your weakness. You got to beat me with something that you are not good at. And that is where we have to start doing it. The one thing we have to take away from them is their ability to intimidate. What we have to take away from them for watching them. Grandpa, you off the chain. But the thing is, what we have to take away from them is we know they don't want to go to trial. So the first thing we do, we push them to trial. Everything we're doing is pushing them to trial, whether it's state trial or it's trial in federal court. It's that steady and constant push. Why? Because that's not what they do well. You don't have a lot of trial attorneys sitting in the DA's office because they're actually taught to make deals. They're taught to put pressure on them. So you have to do that, and you have to basically fighting back. They're not used to anybody fighting them back. And now Charles, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am a horrible person to ask how do you gauge how well a case is going. What I have learned though, okay, Tony, we're gonna have to have a conversation about that. I'm gonna put my email address in there for you, Tony, because I definitely got to get information on that California one, because there's a different aspect to it. But just to give you an idea, I sat in court after picking voir dire. We had gone. I'm questioning witnesses, and I'm thinking stuff is going well. There was a young lady that got on the stand, and the prosecutor asked some phenomenal questions. Because you remember I told you, the whole thing is It's painting a picture. And I'm sitting on the other side, and I forgot she was talking about me. Understand what I'm saying? Like, she painted such a beautiful picture. I went home that evening. I called my brother and I told him, my one that wasn't in the situation we were in, I called and told him, I said, yeah, we're going to prison. So I need you to put something on my books. And he laughed and he said, dude, one day is not going to change anybody. Said, everybody's been in there the entire week. Don't worry about this one day. So when I went back the next day, it was still on my mind, but I still had the mindset of, you know what, I got up this morning, it's to win, and I feel like I can win. I still had an opportunity. As long as I'm in the fight, I still have a chance. So that's what I was thinking about. But at the end of the day, I couldn't tell you how well the trial was going, but I had a hope, because I was looking at body language, and there was this old lady in the corner. This old lady, she had her arms folded the entire trial because she did not want to be there whatsoever. It wasn't until Alicia got on the stand and he said something. I can't remember exactly what he said, but she unfolded her arms and sat up. And I leaned over and I told the two that was sitting, my other brother and his attorney, I just said, whatever he just said, he just sent us home. Because it's generally watching body language. But you'll also notice when you're starting to hit them, just like Pacquiao versus Thurman. Thurman did not believe he won that fight, and he was actually more surprised than anybody when there was a judge that gave him the fight. Because during that fight, Pacquiao in the 9th round hit Keith Thurman in the body. He hit him so hard, Keith Thurman literally spit out his mouthpiece. He did it so fast, and he ran the rest of the round, that the referee never saw his mouthpiece leave his mouth. Because the referee thought that Keith was readily engaged and still in the fight. But the appearance was completely different from the reality. So you can actually think the court case is going well, but you don't understand the concept or mindset of the people that's actually involved in it beyond yourself. So that's a horrible question to ask me, because I can't even give you a real answer for that. So I gave you that elongated answer to tell you I can't answer. Now, litigating that they got an order to stay discovery pending the 12B6. The 12B6 is the easy, because once they file it, all you have to do is answer the motion and then file one piece of evidence. That's it. That's how you beat the 12B6. I actually have a video on that as well. Okay. Usually I got dismissed pretty quick. Now I feel they're stalling because you missed something. Yeah, so just understand, if they start stalling, it's because you missed something. So they're trying to see what it is that you know, or if you see that you've missed something. I don't know what it is, but that's generally the practice of it, because the nature of the beast never changes, only the players. Okay. How much fight do you have in you? Because always going to be hit if you kick it. Okay. And Grandpappy, I need you to hit me up tomorrow. I told you to do that last time. You didn't hit me up, but I need you to hit me up tomorrow, because I got a couple questions for you. And yes, Grandpappy, most people are scared of police and courts, and the reason why we are trained, we're being programmed, because this week I'm actually going to do a video, and it's a Greenville police shooting, and in this shooting, the way the body camera, and I'm going to say it like this, the way the body camera footage was released is the show of programming and how they're attempting to do it, because they're trying to tell us what to look for instead of allowing us to see and have our own interpretation of it. So, but yes, and that's why you have in your police and court cases, only 95% of people pay or just go about their business, because 95% of people do not fight back. And of the 5% that fight back, 90+% of them win. I'm going to say that. The small number, the 300 that I spoke about, the 300 goes in and wins. There are casualties that don't, because, you know, at the end of the day, some of them are stupid, and some of them make a mistake, some of them might even ran over, and they lose, they stop fighting. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. Again, Cupid, can the passenger be charged? Anybody can be charged. Anybody can get it. Understand that. It's up to that person to fight back and make them prove it. And the problem is, just like I've got a couple of friends, I got a couple of family members that had simple charges, and they chose not to fight back. And it is what it is. Because I told them, once they do that, we can't even talk about it no more. Because literally, you got that dude sitting next to you. You choose not to work it, okay, cool, it is on you. But when you have an opportunity to fight back, because the reason I would always challenge a K9 hit, just to give you that. One, I'm going to challenge the search itself, because anything beyond the stop, they need consent. If they don't get it, it has to be challenged. Because that's literally what I just read at the beginning of this video. I'm not sure if you were privy to it, but it's Malley v. Briggs, Malley v. Briggs, Briggs, 475 US 335, 1986. It is a sound presumption that the magistrate is more qualified than the police to make a probable cause determination. The detached scrutiny of a neutral magistrate is more reliable safeguard against improper searches than the hurried judgment of a law enforcement officer. Because again, it's reinforcing what I constantly say. Police officers are scientists. They are going out and they are coming up with a hypothesis, and then in their hypothesis, they're making a determination of evidence to fit their quote-unquote hypothesis. They're not trained to solve crimes. They're not trained to do any of that stuff. And here's the greater part. You and I don't know what a canine is trained to do. We don't know what it means when a dog scratches. We don't know. My dog scratched up the backyard. Does that mean I got dope all over my backyard? No. But we're being told that's a canine hit. Okay, well, where'd you get the warrant from? Because you still need the warrant. What dictates the probable cause if you didn't get a warrant? Because you're never getting my consent. And again, that's my history. And that's another thing too, because the cell phones that stream live, I'm going to put up a link, and I'm going to talk about it this week. So be on the lookout for it. It's a little camera that streams HD and audio that's live in your car from your phone. So you can actually leave your phone off, right? Because it automatically uploads to the cloud, so it cannot be deleted. And the reason these things are being created are not for people other than their safety, because you have these police officers that are deleting video, that are taking people's property without permission. And they are, and not only, okay, I got, God dang, hold on, let me get a little drink. Got my little Starbucks today. But Dream, I got your email. And no, that's not Starbucks. That's actually a Rockstar. But anyway, they have these things set up because police are deleting videos. And that's a great response, because at the end of the day, if you're not fighting back, you're condoning the stuff that they're doing. And I actually love the way that you're putting it up. But what most people are lacking is not the court case. It's how you apply that case. Hey, yeah, Dream, Kim, I just got your email. Again, those are things that you have to challenge in court, Charles. Because again, whether it's advertised or not, it's a means of setting it up properly to where it's not in a commercial fashion. And 99.9% of people have no clue of how to do that or the wherewithal to do it. Because just like I tell people on here, right now I have 4,500 blah 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 subscribers. Less than 1% actually donate to keep the channel going. Out of that 1%, we've gotten new computers, we've gotten new phones, we've gotten new cameras, we've gotten new computer software that's over $300-400. We've gotten add-ons for that software, and we're still growing. And I've talked about even the videos where I spoke to 16 people in 3 days. 2 people actually said, you know what, I appreciate your time, brother. Here's anything. Because most people are not doing these things to actually be free or be set up as an aspect of, you know what, I just want to live my life, leave me the hell alone. What in the hell is that? We got it. There we go. Oh, that's actually even worse. Little bit. No, that's that. Oh, damn, that's behind. Okay. Go. Turn up. Oh, yeah, that's it. All right, which way I need to go? Head. Turn up. Yeah, that's not it. Okay, there we go. I actually went right back to the same spot. There we go. All right, but understanding that aspect of it, it's 99% of the people that ask, there's a reason why I don't talk about certain things, because like I said, 99% of the people that I deal with on a daily basis, or even when I started doing this, because where I was actually trying to set it up at, because I wanted to use the GoPro, is just because there's actually another light directly behind me. So hopefully we can clear that up. Okay. But yeah, most people, 99% of the people that I deal with on a daily basis, they're not actually trying to do things so they'll be left alone. They're actually trying to do things to get over. So they're looking for shortcuts, and they're looking for ways around stuff, and actually, instead of actually going through the process of doing it the right way. That's why there's actually people that said, hey, I'll pay you this if you help me. And then I saw that they wasn't about shit, so I handed them back their money. Because I'm not going to put my name on anything where somebody's going to fuck off. Because last time I did that, I had 13 of these fuckers standing up and testifying against me that I did something wrong, yet nobody could figure out what the hell it was that I was doing wrong other than helping these fuckers. So, and what's up, Dex? I haven't seen you in a while, because you normally give me some good stuff. And Cupid is in the description, so you might have to wait till we hang up, which actually will be in a few minutes. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure everybody I'm dealing with understands everything that's being done and have a basis. And that's why I went through the who, what, when, where, why, and how, because something that we learned in first grade is one of the best things that we were ever given. And I appreciate you, Dex, man, because a lot of people, I actually had one of my partners looking at a couple of the videos that I did, and they saw you commenting, and you were putting up things. And I told him, I said, well, Dex is great because Dex puts it up because he wants to have a conversation about it. Dex wants to make sure that I'm not just giving people stuff and have no context behind it. And that's why I appreciate you, man, because like I tell people, I don't mind being wrong because my entire platform is about making sure we're all going in the right direction. The things I'm giving you are things that I've done in one case or another. And while I don't do as many now, I've done a lot of them previously. So even when I went back to Georgia, I grabbed at least probably 200 of them that I had done. And like I found an old hard drive. But for the most part, it's understanding. And that's exactly right. Nobody knows everything. And one of the things that, like I said, I talk about Alicia a lot. That's my brother. I'm older than he is. But the one thing we always said was, I'm not grown. And what we meant by that was, we're not too old to learn something. And as long as you're able to learn something, you're able to move forward, you're able to grow. And I'm not here just to say, oh, well, it's my way or the highway. No, if I say something wrong, I want you guys to point that out. And if I'm giving you wrong direction and you know the right way, give it to me so we can have this conversation, because I want to be right. I don't mind, you guys saying, no, that's trash. I only want, you know what? Because if I do it any other way, I lose all validity. I lose, hell, there's no, one horrible thing that I can do is give you misinformation, stand on that misinformation, and then everything else that I've done becomes trash. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. So I don't mind being wrong. I love when you guys correct me. That's why I love guys like that. And it was another one, it was a couple other dudes, but mostly Dex, because Dex is one of those like, here it is. Because as soon as he says, he doesn't say, oh, you're wrong. He'll say, here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I have no argument with that. I can add on to what he has, but I can't say, no, Dex, this ain't it. I can say, Dex, boom, this is what Dex said. Here's the add-on. But he's showing you why he said it. He's not just giving you anything. And I appreciate that. Now I appreciate you, Beware Mouse. Exactly. And I was told back in the day, oh, well, don't ask stupid questions. The only stupid questions, are repetitive questions. If one person's asking the same question, that's stupid, because that means you're not listening. But if you're asking a question that you don't know, it's a great chance that it's something a lot of people didn't know. Just like when Sergio asked earlier, what do you know about gang something? And I was like, you know what, give me a little bit more context. I could have just said anything, right? But when he gave me more context, I was like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Now I can talk to him. But those are the things that we all have to do as a group. I have to be vigilant. I have to make sure that I'm not just spewing bullshit, because like I said, once I do that, everything I do is wrong. And the RICO Act, that would actually be not in the removal. You don't include the RICO Act in your removal. You set it up as a counterclaim. But understanding the RICO Act is you have to have proof of the chain. And the reason I say that is because it's understanding how RICO is set up, and then understanding how you get from point A to point B. And you do notify the AG, the Attorney General. You also notify the governor, because those are also going to be codified within your state regulations. Now, notice of those are just to help you go through that. I appreciate you, Jay. And Jay, I actually, just to give you a little bit of background on me, for the past 15 years, every Saturday, most people don't know there's a fight on. I think 2 weeks ago was the first time I did not watch a fight on Saturday in 15 years. Because I didn't even want to watch the Oscar De La Hoya stuff. And then by me being right next to Mexico, there's also, and you're exactly right, Charles, there's also boxing that's done where we can catch it live. That'll be done at Don Haskins. That'll be done right across the border because there's an arena over there. And it's understanding like that. But yeah, I love boxing. Bernard Hopkins, B Hop is one of my favorite boxers. Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver, and believe it or not, one of the guys I went to school with was Vernon Forrest, and the last time I talked to him was his second fight with Shane Mosley. I was actually in Columbia, South Carolina then. But yeah, I've been in boxing most of my life, and unfortunately, one of my kids want to be a boxer now. Which, have you looked into the secured party process? Absolutely, B. Harris, but that's not something I will discuss online. Because again, that goes into a lot of people that are doing the secured party process. They're looking for a way to get over instead of looking for a way to do it the right way. So yeah, that's. And Charles, I wouldn't say it's BS, but it's unnecessary for most of the stuff that you're going to be doing. Because if you're going into court, it's a way to do that. But even doing was the SP whatever. For the most part, yes. Yes, that's actually 100% correct. But at the end of the day, there's no need in doing. Oh shit, what we got? Give me a half a second, people, because I got a couple things going on too. What is this? I didn't. Okay. And I'm a be real. I've got a couple people that I'm helping. Now, with this, I don't mind helping anybody, especially when I see that you're trying. But I have a couple clients, they're language barriers. So a lot of times when I'm saying something, I do have to repeat myself. And how do okay, yeah, we're not gonna go too deep into that, Charles, but but Mouse, that's actually a great question. I actually would love to do. I'd actually like to do a live on that probably tomorrow um if that's feasible. But I wanna actually have a conversation on that tomorrow, because one of the things I even talked about, I was going to do the podcast on, was about what they call private security, which will be people that are not law enforcement that are acting as law enforcement, and the one easy would be security guards. But they all work along the same lines, because even off-duty police officers are security guards. If they're acting as a police officer, they're private citizens. They are under that. Ruben, how much truth? Okay, I'm not. Kind of elaborate on that, because I actually put that on my. I put both of those on my ID when I did have one. Your awesome name. Thanks. I have a call. All right, I appreciate you, Miles. No, this boxing fan. Okay, yeah, Sweet Pea was absolutely phenomenal, and for him to get hit by a car, that's about as bad as Kobe and his daughter today in the helicopter crash. And yes, Charles, the 207 and 308 is great for contracts. Lies on warrants and proven trigger map hearings. That's one of them, yes. And I appreciate you, Mount. I appreciate it for the coffee, man. What about your yard sale ordinances on your property? Okay, that's a great one. Now here's the thing with that, Ali. You know what? You actually asked some great questions on that. Before I go in, I gotta talk about Money May. Now here's the problem. I know people did not like him, but I met Floyd at the '96 Olympics only because my brother that was sitting, that had the attorney, he was working. And yes, Frank's as well. Absolutely. I'll get into that. But he was working at the Olympics. I got an opportunity to watch one of Floyd's early fights at the Olympics. When he was Pretty Boy Floyd, he was awesome. Now, okay, got you. And I actually loved his precision and how he was tactfully aggressive. Now, as he moved on, his greatest fight to me was his coming out party against Arturo Gatti, because that was his absolutely first pay-per-view. He went out to, I believe it was in Jersey. And with Floyd went out and did not care if he broke his hand. Because even when he fought Chop Chop Corley, when he fought Diego Corrales, these were fights that were impressive because he had did things to them that nobody else had. But when it came down to him getting that next fight, which was the Oscar De La Hoya fight, when he went out and he outboxed the Pretty Boy, he got a ginormous paycheck. Yeah, Franks v. Delaware, that's exactly right. Dex is 100% right on challenging the warrant. But that's also something that you have to, what do you call that? Set for hearing. And that's when you start challenging all the other stuff that go along with it. Okay. But then you go back to Floyd. Floyd, once he started seeing the numbers would change from that, that's when he used his money persona. He went out because the one thing I always tell people is, because I actually had a young boy tell me one day, oh, I'm going to knock you out. Okay, that's great. What happens when you hit me with that punch that's supposed to knock me out and I'm still there? Floyd never went out and said, oh, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to knock you out. Because Floyd went in there to win. He didn't care about the knockout. Absolutely, if the knockout came, it came. Because even like Victor Ortiz, I appreciate, thank you, Trina. We got a chance to watch that one. But in the Victor Ortiz fight, he broke his hand in that fight hitting Victor. And because his hands were so brittle because he had been boxing since he was like 3. So it never really gained that actual hardness. So, and then he was boxing so frequently that it never got time to properly heal. So when you looked at him, it looked as if he was running, but the whole premise of boxing is to hit and not be hit. If you can't hit him, my thing is, you know Floyd's going to move, you know Floyd's going to run. If you're not cutting off the ring, that's your fault, because that is part of boxing. Now, we're going to go up here to the Franks hearing. Franks v. Delaware is the actual case that you would need to challenge the actual warrant. But that will be something that comes in the context of having something that will generally come within the first 10 days with discovery. Now you can also use it in a omnibus here, omnibus motion, which is a bunch of motions kind of gathered into one, because when you're challenging the warrant, you're obviously going to have a map hearing, which is going to challenge the evidence that was gathered from the warrant. So these are things. This is one of the reasons why I tell people, get the warrant application, get the warrant. You also want the other things that support anything that they have in their police reports. That's why these things are key in winning your cases. And Jingy actually no. The reason why they overlooked that is because nobody pressed them. Because once they pressed, because I've actually had a judge tell them, he's walking you to federal court. Because what they're going to do is they're going to try to cover their own ass. They're not going to leave. Nobody's going to put themselves on the line for something that's shaky. If it looks shaky, they are not going to. Ain't no judge going to put their livelihood on the line for some dumbass cop. Exactly. And are you aware of? I have no idea. B. Harris, on that last one, I have no idea. And that's also the importance of understanding, to go along with Dex, is understanding what it is that you have before you, because it's required, and is also something that can be set up in your discovery, which is part of your preliminary examination of evidence they quote unquote may or may not have, which offers you an opportunity to copy or deal with that. Exactly. Because they're not going to put themselves on the line. Just like you, I read in here. They're not going to put themselves on the line for somebody else. It's all about, me. I'm damn you. But yeah. Now, absolutely. Alrighty. We're at the hour and 32-minute mark. Are there any more questions before we wrap it up tonight? And I appreciate you guys that have donated through Super Chat. A couple that have hit the Cash App. You can also go Vimeo or Venmo. Vimeo is actually something else. Anthony came in. Well, Anthony hit me on the Cash App for $5. Ernie put $5 on it. And T put $3 on it. I appreciate you, T. Now, cheers. Please, folks, purify your water. Absolutely. Is D-Hop still fighting Roy? That last fight was trash. Oh, the yard sale. Okay. What happens is many times, okay. I got two questions. Can a challenge to a plea deal be filed as a small claim? Okay. I would need more information on that, but for the most part, yes. If it's under $5,000. What happens is most of the time we go into to somewhere that has an HOA, and what we don't do is understand the guidelines of what don't understand the guidelines of the contract we're following. Generally, that's the only way they can do anything about a yard sale, unless you're in an area. Because I'm trying to think, because there's one here in Texas that is not an HOA, but they actually went after the young lady because she like had a forever yard sale and made her property a commercial type deal. I would, to be honest with you, I'd actually challenge the shit out of whoever's talking to you. And I would actually love to get more information on that, because like it's very rare. And most of the time, because like I think it was one, because it was a guy, he was barbecuing, and they had a state ordinance or a city ordinance, and because of the smoke from his grill was going into the neighbor's yard, which is something that's an act of God, which even insurance companies don't cover. But when you're doing that, that's not law, that's policy. So those things have to be challenged on the state level. 2030, they're doing that in 2020. Grandpappy. But yeah, that's something that has to be challenged on the state level. But again, it's a stupid fight. Yeah, that's all they can do, because it's an ordinance, it's not law. And what you do, you fight back. And you know what? You know what? Hit me up, because I actually think you emailed me back in the day. But I'm gonna have to get it from you again. So, all right, let me go back. Explain writ of executions in judgment, and explain how people can collect their money. Okay, now you guys know I'm not a fan of the writs. You know, unless I'm eating them, because I love the Ritz crackers, and I actually like the spot where they do the performance at. But as far as them being in court, I'm not a fan of that. And yeah, no, Grandpa, we're not doing no proof of claims and all that other crap. But that's actually elongating the process for no reason. But what was I talking about? The writs. One of the things that you have to do is, instead of the writ of execution, you have to go out and do an injunction. That is literally one of the videos I'm doing this week. Yeah, I'm not a fan of writs. I'm not even gonna lie to you, Charles. I'm not. I've written one. Yeah, not so small potatoes after all. Because I'm just not a fan of writs. But yeah, on your end, Ali, yeah, it's a fight, because at the end of the day, the whole thing is for them to leave you the hell alone. And yeah, I've done a writ of mandamus, but you know, that I think that's the only one I've actually written, the writ of mandamus. Now I don't. No, the sandwich go to me. The sandwich go to me. They don't get sandwiches. So, and I appreciate you, T-Man. T-Man put $6 on it. But at the end of the day, there are opportunities for writs. And I'm gonna say, anybody that's want to be doing that, you might want to call Charles, because he seems to be a fan of them. I don't mind not being a fan of them. But at the end of the day, well, okay, understand what it is that, because T-Man, I've actually, I know you guys have heard me say this 100 times. Yeah, I actually love litigating myself. But when you're talking about the lawsuit, you have to go in with your idea of what justice is. You have to go in. If it's money, you have to go in as if you are going for money, but you also have to have a number. Now, having your number is something that can be picked by going to cases that are very similar to yours and finding out not what they won, but what they collected. I'm going to say that again. Not what they won, but what they collected. And I'm going to go here. When I was taking my insurance exam, I went and got breakfast for me, my grandmother, and my fiance at the time. And I went to McDonald's. You know, God forbid, I have no idea why, but I went to McDonald's, and the young lady dropped a cup of coffee in my lap. Yeah, it was. So I was burned. Now I went back, ate breakfast, then I went to the doctor. So while I'm at the hospital, I do what I do, and I called. Just so happened the young lady that owns the McDonald's, she's the franchisee. Her and I were friends. I met her through a fundraiser organization that I work with, cleaning up the canal in Augusta, which you can go down there and look at it now. The canal looks phenomenal. They've done some great work. We started out with helping them clean that up as a volunteer. But so I spoke to her and I was like, you know what, this is what it is, blah, 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 blah. And I told her, as long as, you know, they don't tell me anything stupid, pay my medical bills, clean my car, we're good. Now, that was what, maybe 10 grand at that time. Well, her attorney told me something stupid like, oh, you need to sue the cup manufacturer. No, bitch, the cup manufacturer didn't drop it in my lap. The employee did. So I sued McDonald's. Now, again, I think I told you guys about that. It was a young man that was a friend of mine that I gave the case to because he's more familiar with that type of litigation. Like Charles is more familiar with the writs. I can't do that. I can do that. I'm just not well versed in that. So give it to somebody that knows what they're doing. Now, when it came back, he brought up the young woman in Wisconsin that was also burned at McDonald's. Oh, she won $30 million. Again, understanding what it was that I knew was the fact that, yes, she won $30 million. The jury gave her $30 million. She collected $320,000. Why? Because that's what McDonald's was giving her. My case was not as close to being as severe as hers. I walked away with a smaller number. But it was on my terms because I had things that I was looking at, but I also knew what my number was. When it got to my number, let's go. There's no need us even discussing this anymore. That's my number, let's go. So, and then when you're talking about going after these police officers, I just want their pension. I don't give a shit with how much is in it. But here's the greater part about it. I'm not keeping it. And again, if you're asking for $10 million, you can ask for anything. It's a great chance you're not going to get it. There are very few people that get those types of numbers. When you're looking at any lawsuit against the city, you're generally, unless you were incarcerated for 25 years, you're not getting more than $2 to $3 million. And here's, because when you're suing a police officer, you're suing for their pension, right? The city will cut you a check, because even like right now, I'm helping a friend of mine. He's working, doing things, whatever. But at the end of the day, the city's cutting him a check. He asked for 15. He's getting 2. And at the end of the day, it's understanding 2 wasn't even his number. His number was a lot lower. They just came up too goddamn high. His number was a lot lower. Because his level of justice was, yeah, this is bullshit. This will compensate me, I'm good. They came back with that number. He was like, yeah, let's run it. Because there's no need in going back and forth and doing all that other stuff. Yeah, he put on the paper 10, 15 million, but his number was a lot lower. Because a lot of times that number is just to open the eye. But it's also managing his expectations. And the city, I'll tell y'all that when he gets his money. Yes, both of those apply to every court. Yeah, res judicata, double jeopardy, blah, 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 applies to every court because it's federal law. Yeah, and that's what happened to me. It just, I was getting arrested, but I was getting my ass beat because I'm a bigger guy, so everybody feels they have to. And Charles, send me an email because I'm not going to put your email out on here, or unless you want me to. Do you want me to show your email? Because I know somebody had asked for it. And it was probably DeKalb County you was in, Charles. But yeah, let me know, do you want me to show your email? Okay, yeah, that's not going to happen. T-Mac, you file an injunction. The injunction works more. Okay, I'm going to actually go ahead and hit the show. So if you ask for Charles' email, I'm getting ready to show it now. So you might have to scroll down a little bit because he put it in there. And I believe it was Grandpappy. So Grandpappy, you go ahead and scroll down a little bit because Charles put his email in there for you. But yeah, the injunction actually works because when you're doing your writs of execution, it's, do you understand the next steps of it? Do you understand how to enforce it? And that's where we're having a lot of misconceptions, a lot of misideas because we're trying to do something because we've seen parts of it. But everything that you're doing has a process, step by step, line upon line, precept upon precept. It does not change from city to city, state to state, organization to organization. It is the exact same no matter what you are doing. The process does not change just because you don't like it. So if that's what you want to do, you might want to manage your expectations. So absolutely. The second I get the citation, the very first thing I do is go down to the courthouse and get their or I find out what risk management and I go get their oath of office. And then if they don't, because the one thing I learned in Gwinnett County, because we would go down there, attitude and all, and one of the things I learned, because again, I'm a bigger guy, exactly, risk management. Every city has them, every police office has them. But I went down there, and what I learned was most of the guys that I would talk to are smaller. A lot of these little bastards have Chihuahua syndrome. So what I started doing was I would find somewhere to sit down, and I'd ask. And when I did that, I kept asking, where's the oath of office? Where's the oath of office? Where can I get the oath of office? And then I had to go back and remember my own thing. Allow them to cover their own ass. I stood up with this one young man because he kept sticking his chest out. And the thing was, I started listening to how they were responding. And I noted that all of them had to get they were saying pretty much the same shit. So I'm like, okay, if I'm saying the same thing and everybody's response is the same way, what do I need to change that response? So again, Tony Robbins asked better questions. Who's responsible for the police officer's oath of office? Oh, Judge such and such down the hall. Thank you. I'll go get a copy from him. And exactly, self-correction on the fly. Because at the end of the day, it's understanding and paying attention. Because this is chess, not checkers. Understanding the nature of the beast doesn't change. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean they're going to change what they're doing, because their job isn't to give me anything. Their job isn't to help me. Their job is to stop paying money and to get money, because it's a business. If they're spending out more than they're bringing in, that's not good business. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, police officers don't make that much money. Yeah, rookie police officers don't make that much money. Because there are a lot of them that I'm looking at that are going to court that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their pension. I'm looking at a lot of them that are taking home 6 figures. And here's the crazier part. At the end of the day, there are some that are bonded. And I love those because those are the ones that actually want to talk to you because Officer Johnson is bonded. Tim Johnson ain't bonded. Officer Johnson has the union protecting him. Tim Johnson don't have the union protecting him. Because see, again, any lesson not learned in blood is easily forgotten. The way you make a corporation bleed is to make them cut a check. That is the one thing you do. That does not mean you go out and party with every check you get. No, you make it a point to take it from them because they haven't earned it. But it's also make it a point to where you put it where it's supposed to be at because it still belongs to the taxpayers. It's still not even your money. But if you taking it, just understand you have a responsibility that goes along with that. That's why I do the things that I was doing, because one of the things that they can never say out of all the lawsuits, oh, he's suing just for money. I never took a dime because it's not their money I need. I just don't think you should have it. Like my son, his first year playing football, I told everybody it was the funniest shit ever. Not very fast, not very athletic, but he led the league that he was in interceptions. My son could not catch a cold on offense. And it was just one day, we were sitting there and one of the coaches was like, hey, put him up there. So he runs out, can't catch it. Drop. I started laughing. I said, hey, play cornerback. Again, my son's not very fast. His timing is impeccable. His instincts are great. Every time they threw the ball out, they pick it up. And they go, well, how is that possible? I said, because he's selfish. Because he can't have it. He don't think somebody, because he can't catch it, nobody else should catch it. And that's the way I am mentally. You ain't out here doing what you're supposed to do with it, so I don't think you should have it. I can't get it, you can't get it. Neither one of us gonna get it. So I gotta take that about you. And yes, sir, Hollow. Any lesson not learned in blood is easy forgotten. And understanding to make a corporation bleed is to make them cut a check. These are the things that you have to do. But at the end of the day, they can never call any lawsuit that I file frivolous because I've never taken a dime. I just want to be left alone. Leave me the hell alone. We're good. I'm not going to touch you. You don't touch me. You don't raise your voice to me. I still might raise because you aggravating the shit out of me. But, you know, we going to keep it a buck. Hey, sometimes it's got to be that way. You know, an eye for an eye, we both go blind, but my happiness is going to be found in my blindness because I'm going. Because at the end of the day, one of the things I do, I'm not even going to lie, I'm a selfish person. I'm very selfish with my time. I'm very selfish with my spirit. I'm very selfish with a lot of things. And then, you know, because like, the older I get, I'm becoming more humble. And Charles, I'm going to give you something. Charles, the one thing that, yeah, all of them are for-profit businesses. And they have their licenses, those seals, those are their licenses in front of the courtroom. But one of the things I had to learn was how to calm down. Because I would stand in front of a cop, a judge, or anybody, and I would get so angry. The angrier I got, the more I remember, and the worse I got because I would get so deep and entranced in the law to where, like, why am I talking to him? I've literally had people walk away from me. Like, literally, like, oh shit, yeah, damn all that. But I had to learn how to bottle that up and redirect that type of energy. So, even now, like, just like I told you guys, when I watched the movie The Hate U Give, I couldn't watch it in one sitting because every situation that was brought up in that movie was a situation that I experienced personally. And every time I watched it, I got so angry. I still get angry about certain things. Hell, I used to go to the gym. I would watch cop videos to go to the gym to lift heavy. 12, that's it? Yeah, lightweight, Charles. But no, seriously, I don't wish anybody being locked up, detained, all the other foolishness. Because at the end of the day, if you're not doing anything wrong, don't get out my pockets. Because I'm not out here working for you. I can't give it to you. You gotta earn that. But still, exactly, time is money. And when we're doing this, genuinely, I want to give people something that I've experienced. And the one thing I love and I learned from my father, even though we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, was the fact that he always told me, any knowledge I have is not mine. I have to give it away. Now, this is me giving it away on YouTube. Once this camera goes off and all this other stuff, and I'm sitting down with somebody, or I'm sitting down with my people, my kids or whatever, if you want me to come away from that, that's got to be something that I'm compensated for. Because that time is my money. Because my time with my kids are precious. Because, like I said, lately I've been humbled a lot. Because I'm looking at whenever I was in high school, a lot of us didn't think we would see 16. Now, we wasn't in Little Vietnam or nothing like that. It was literally Augusta, Georgia. But we were out so wild. We were wild and reckless or whatever. So when we got to his 16th birthday, it wasn't a real thing at that point. Like, we're going to college. And then when we see 1, 2, 3, we got 10, 15 of our friends that actually go to real colleges, and not to downplay any of these other ones, but when you have someone graduating and going to places like University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, University of Hawaii, these things actually start to resonate like, hold on, I can actually do this. And then to go back and see the fact that everybody that was with you, that you didn't think would make it to be anything, all these guys are business owners, or they're professional athletes, or they've actually done something. And then now I'm in my 40s, and I leave this place where there's gun violence constantly, but I come to a place where everybody's showing their teeth. Like, everybody, how you doing it? And they're genuinely friendly. And the scary thing is that I thought something was wrong with these people. Everybody here is genuinely happy, genuinely outgoing, genuinely loving. And I had 3 friends pass away literally in a year and a half. One was self-inflicted. One was a car accident, and the other one was, natural causes. And the craziest thing that scared me was the fact that all of them were younger than me. And then I look at the end stuff even today. Kobe was a guy that I looked up to, and I'm older than him. Whenever I came out of college, high school, he was still in high school. He was like one of the reporters said, was the fact that he took Brandy to the prom. Like, Brandy, I was bumping Brandy on my little radio. Had little cassettes and everything. But then you come out and you're starting to get things together, and you're looking at this young kid, and then now I watched him through his entire Laker, from the Colorado incident to, shooting the air balls in the conference finals to, losing to Detroit with Shaq, and then coming back Lamar Odom and Trevor Ariza and winning chips, and then having injuries and can't really walk, and he's doing all these things. And then today to see how quickly, because literally last night I watched him shake LeBron's hand when he got passed for 3rd place. 1 o'clock today, he's gone. And I'm actually going to do a video about last moments and pretty much when you walking away from somebody. Because I tell everybody, one of the things I appreciated most in life was the fact that I had an opportunity, literally, I was living in Colombia at the time, and I just had my son, and my father had not seen his grandson yet. And my baby brother had, I had just bought 2 cars, and I had bought some insurance. And the guy that I bought the insurance from, if you're in Augusta, his name is Cleo Parker. He's right off of Keith Georgia Road. He's been there like a billion years. But my father always did work for him. And when I called him, I was like, yeah, I need the insurance, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, you know, I'm going to tell your father. Okay, cool, whatever, I don't care. The great part was the last conversation I had with my father, the last real conversation. It was the first time my father told me he loved me. It was the first time my father told me he was proud of me. Many people don't have that opportunity. And the last conversation I had with these people before they passed, except for one, 2 of the people that the last conversation we had was, I love you and I'll see you tomorrow. I want you guys to also know, don't take any of this for granted. This stuff I'm giving you, I know it's a lot, but as you move forward, make sure you're not leaving anything out there that's unsaid or undone. And I love you guys. See you later. Appreciate the donations, and anybody that's still looking to donate, the links are in the description.